Hello, everybody. This is Nanette Kennedy with Humanities Team and the Evolution Revolution. And this is our weekly Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh book discussion group. And before we came on the air, because we're having troubles, I was having troubles with getting us to the record part. Anyway, we did get that done. And while we were waiting for that problem to be fixed, we were having a little bit of a conversation. And I think, Linda, you can reintroduce us to what we're talking about. Over.
Okay. In general, the discussion we've been having has been about women in society and how we need to learn how to step into our power and speak up for ourselves. When we talked a lot about what goes on in the medical world when we go in and we're dealing with doctors and in that world, but I was just making a comment that on NPR, there were two stories yesterday and today that I found really interesting. Yesterday's was about how in the government of America, specifically, the word female or woman never appears in any of the documents that created our country. It's not in the Constitution. We don't exist as a species, basically. It's men. And that language is part of what has kept it so difficult for our society to incorporate equal rights for women, because there's no reference to women in the documents to start with. And then the other piece was this morning about how pregnant women have really been left out of artwork for the entire time that beings have been around. There you can find maybe an occasional picture of a woman that's pregnant, but in general, pregnant women do not fall into art. You don't see them in art, and that just is another indicator that there is a schism here in society in general of disempowering women. And I think that I summarized it, but if there's anything any of the people that were already on the call have to contribute, please jump in and add it. Over.
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about pregnant women not being included, since, that's one of like the most powerful things that women do is actually give birth. And I always thought, and they talk, like Freud talked about penis envy and all, and I always thought they're so missing the point. It's womb envy, because especially in the days before they really understood how that happened, women have this amazing power to bring forth life. So of course men want to hide that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to add one thing real quick. And Mary, you'll appreciate this, as I think you all will. For years, I've collected statues of the Blessed Mother. And I started out my collection as, this is going to sound weird, but I would go to estate sales or flea markets, and I would find the most unattractive Blessed Mothers because I felt sorry for them. So I bought them. And, I'm feeling sorry for a statue, but nonetheless. And then over time, I started looking for more beautiful ones. And about 5 years ago, I was in Los Angeles, and I was in this, I was with a priest friend of mine, and we went into this Catholic bookstore because he was getting ready to purchase some things he needed to do a baptism for Clint Eastwood's great-grandson. And so we were walking around in there, and I'm not dripping in money, but I saw the most beautiful statue of the Virgin Mary I've ever seen. And it was the only one I've ever seen like it, because the Blessed Virgin is pregnant in the statue. And so that was a very interesting thing to me. And I also think with this conversation about men being mentioned in the Constitution, or other, even when we look back in history to things like Confucianism, Buddhism, women aren't mentioned, it's men. And I can tell you, every time I post on Facebook for the Humanities Team page, somebody will come up and say, what about women? And I don't know what the rules, quote unquote, are, but I don't think I can change somebody else's quote. So I think from now on, I'm going to put something in my quote that, or in a note after my quote saying this person was, 500 BC, whatever. Anyway, that's what I've got to contribute. Over. Anne? Were you going to say something, Anne?
Well, I was, but I think we probably want to get to the reading before we run out of time today. It's late.
Right. We planned on taking this a little bit longer just because everybody had something to say. So.
Yeah, I've got something to say to Anne Derby. Are you listening, Anne?
We can.
Okay, yes, I'm listening.
All right. Do you know how to read the chat box? I sent you a message on the chat.
Probably not. No, I don't know how to do it.
Okay, go to the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, mine's at the top.
Wherever.
Okay.
And look, you'll see invite participants, share, and chat.
Share content, it says. Share content? Share content.
Next to that, it should say chat.
Next to that. Okay.
Okay, so that's all I wanted to say. Now I'm done.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. And I think it's kind of nice to have these conversations from time and time again. We don't time it again because we don't do that very often. But let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to let Linda get the show rolling because I can't remember what page we're on. Over.
Okay, we are on chapter 13, and that should be page 167. And I'm actually going to just back up and read the very last sentences from chapter 12 because we need them for continuity.
Okay.
So Neil says, we are the hope of humanity. And God responds, indeed you are. And this is the message of the new spirituality which will emerge on earth. Soon, many more people will understand this, and it will be their urgent plea to all humans. Be the hope of humanity. Chapter 13, Foundations of the New Spirituality. This is Neil. That is the invitation of the new spirituality. Yes, that is the invitation, and oneness is the message. It is the foundational truth of the new spirituality. I'm getting that because we keep going back to that over and over again. You have no idea how important this is. It is worth an entire book, not just half of one. Everything would change if this one idea was gotten, if this one thought resided in your subconscious and became your natural instinct, if this one concept became your operating philosophy and the operating philosophy of your species. Everything would change. Everything. Politics would change. Economics would change. Careers would change. Your ideas about relationships and sexuality and conflict resolution and the purpose of all of life. Everything would change. So this is not a small thing. It is not a say it once and brush it aside thing. It is a big thing. worth repeating over and over, worthy of coming back to time and time again. Teach this. Teach this. All else will fall into place. Here are 4 words to memorize. We are all one. Model that when you make your next choices and decisions. Model that when you make your next moves and plan your next strategies. Model that when you set your earning goals, establish your employees' salary scales, make up the sticker price for the product or the service you sell. Model that when you go into the war room or the boardroom or the bedroom. Model that when you enter the mosque or the synagogue or cathedral or temple. Model that when you live your life in every moment of your life, and you will teach everything there is to teach about the new spirituality and tomorrow's God. I've got it. I truly do. Oneness and the unity of all life is a foundational principle of the new spirituality. And the application of that principle to everyday life is its guiding ethic. I've got it. Are there any other really basic principles that I should know about? Needlessness. 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 In the days of the new spirituality, you will come to conceive of tomorrow's God as needless. In fact, that is the 7th important difference between yesterday's God and tomorrow's God. Tomorrow's God is needless. Now be careful of that word, because I mean it 2 ways. Be sure that you see both. First, I mean that you will experience God as being without any needs at all. Therefore, God will be needless. Second, I mean that you will experience that you do not need God. In the times of the new spirituality, you will not conceive of yourself as needy beings, having to pray to an almighty deity for succor and favors. Therefore, God will be needless. In communication with God, you said that the illusion of need was the first of the 10 illusions of humans. That's right. And it is. It is the illusion upon which all other illusions are based. It is a very powerful illusion, and when you step back from it and see it as the illusion that it is, you begin to live a world a whole new way. You step into a new world. Imagine a world in which God needed nothing, and you did not need God. Imagine a world in which you could truly say that you feel you need nothing. Well, this is a hard one for me. This is difficult to grasp, to make real. I can understand that God needs nothing, but I can't understand how it could be true that I need nothing. And I certainly feel that I need God. I'm having this conversation with you right now because I need answers. Okay, one thing at a time here. Let's go over this one step at a time. You can understand that God needs nothing. Yes, of course. God is the supreme being, the creator of heaven and earth. What could God possibly need? How about your allegiance? How about your loyalty? Or how about your obedience? If you don't give me that, I'll be sad, maybe even angry, depending on how badly you disobey. Well, there is that. And how about suffering? Do I not need you to suffer? No, of course not. Okay, then. Okay, then is it okay to end your own life if you have a terminal illness from which you are suffering increasing? No, wait a minute. I didn't say that. Then it's not okay. No. Why not? Because ending your life at your own hand is not a part of God's plan. God decides when you are to die, not you. Life is God's greatest gift. He gives it, and only He can take it away. It's not up to you to throw it back in His face. I see. So God becomes angry if you throw His gift back in His face. I don't know whether God gets angry or what, but it's just not right, that's all. Is it more right for an 87-year-old woman to suffer horribly and endlessly from a disease eating away at her body than for her to allow herself to slip out of the anguishing pain and declare her life gratefully and wonderfully over? Yes, it is more right for her to suffer. That's God's law. Suffer interminably until you die naturally. You shall not take your own life. That's not only God's law, it's the law of the land in many places. I mean, doctor-assisted suicide is against the law. More civil law based on God's needs, eh? I didn't say that God needed it this way. This is just the way it is. It's God's law. Why would God have to have a law like that? Or a law about anything, for that matter? Because some things are right and some things are wrong. It's just that simple. But what does God care? God doesn't need anything. I thought you said you could understand that God needs nothing. But if God needs nothing, then why does he need you to obey his law? He doesn't. He doesn't need us to. He just wants us to. And if he doesn't get what he wants, he gets angry and punishes you, right? Right. Sounds pretty much like need to me. Say, are you making fun of me here? No. Are you making fun of me? No, I am not. There's nothing funny about this. We're talking about heaven, hell, and everlasting damnation here. You want to make a mockery, go right ahead. You are doing a good job here. You know that. This is just the way many people think. You said earlier that you were going to speak rhetorically in this dialogue, voicing the questions and comments of the whole human race. Good job. Thank you. So I guess what is true is that most people think of God in two ways, as having no needs and as having many. We have kind of a dichotomous God. He requires nothing really on one hand, and on the other hand, he requires everything. Yes, these are the two faces of yesterday's God. Tomorrow's God will not be nearly so difficult to understand. Tomorrow's God will not have a split personality. Tomorrow's God will simply say, I require nothing of you. You may do as you wish. I give you free will. And tomorrow's God will mean it. She will not say you have free will unless, of course, you do not do as I require, in which case I will punish you forever. What kind of free will is that? You're free to do what I want you to do. Would you call that freedom? No. Your church does. I know. But in a way, it could be argued that we are free. I mean, just as we're free to step out into traffic against a red light, we're free to do that. If we don't care about the consequences, if we're willing to pay the consequences, we're free to do anything. Well, there's some good logic for you. You're free to vote, but if you don't vote for me, I'll have you shot. You're free to own your own business, but if you don't give me most of the profits, I'll have you fined and put out of business. You're free to speak, but if you don't say anything, You're free to speak, but if you say anything I don't like, I'll have you thrown into prison. No problem here. You have free will, right? You know, in the world which you live, you call that kind of freedom a mockery. You call it a dictatorship. Well, it is. So the kingdom of God is a dictatorship? I didn't say that. Why don't we just agree that most of the human race does think of God as a dictator? A benevolent dictator, perhaps, but a dictator nonetheless. People imagine that there is something God has to have in order to be happy, don't they? Now be honest. Yes? Yes, okay, most people think that. Good, now you're being honest. And I'm glad, because if you hadn't been honest, I would have had to punish you. That's funny. That's cute. Let's move on. Now, you said that where you really had a hard time was imagining yourself as needing nothing. That's right. So what I want you to know is that the reason I have been making such a point about your idea of God being needy is that this thought about God forms the basis of your thought about yourself. The reason you cannot imagine yourself needing nothing is that you can't even imagine God needing nothing. And even if God has needs, how can you not? Do you see the trap you've gotten yourself into? I didn't see it before, but I do now. Good, because what I'm trying to show you here is that your many ideas about God form your many ideas about yourself. Or maybe it is the other way around. Maybe your ideas about yourself have formed your ideas about God. Do you think this is possible? Well, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it in that way. Well, think about it. Don't you see God pretty much as a big you? I mean, a bigger version of humans? I was struck by that when you said it earlier, and here we are circling back to it again. Well, I want to make a point that I don't want you to forget, so I'm repeating it here. Don't you see God pretty much as a bigger version of you? I suppose so, yes. Some people do, anyway. Most people, actually. Most people think of God as a bigger, more powerful version of humans. Well, the Bible does say that we were made in the image and likeness of God, and the Bible is right about that. So you are just a bigger version of us. No, you are just a smaller version of me. Okay, same thing. Decidedly not, my friend. Decidedly not. End of chapter.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Would anybody like to start the conversation?
That was one of my first sort of revelations when I really started thinking about religion and spirituality and all of that, was this idea that we say God made us in his image, but then we turn around and remake God in our image. That's why he's so, petty and mean and not anybody that I would really want to spend a lot of time with. So then I had to, reimagine God that I would believe in. And then now this book helps with the whole reimagining myself as made in that image versus that other angry old man in the clouds. That's really all I have to say.
Well, Mary, I think that was a good point you just made, because we are very, quote unquote, guilty of changing God into our images. It's a good point.
I think that's a very powerful sentence to end this, Nanette, because I found an index card with notes I'd taken from Friendship with God, which we read about 2 years ago. And God was telling Neil that treat me as a friend, but not as one like you or having the same, like, don't anthropomorphize me or whatever that word is. Like, don't make a human out of me. That I'm not. What's that word anyway?
Anthropomorphize.
Yes, that's it.
Anthropomorphize me. Yeah, I don't like that. So he does have preferences, or she does have preferences. Over.
It's funny you mentioned that, Shabana, because I was thinking about that same thing. That we've read this probably more than once before. Not this book, but that thought. And I guess we're hard headed. Over.
Well, Nanette, humanities team's got this A Course in Miracles, and Bima's really familiar with it, and I don't know if Linda Nalap knows anything about it. That's a joke because she runs a very popular group and a YouTube channel. So I'm sorry, Linda, I had to make that joke. But Linda, I got lost and stuck in lessons 95 and 96 because I just cannot get over this particular one, and I have about 60 index cards about it. So I'm going to share it with everyone because it's saying this same thing. This is one of the ideas we're supposed to repeat and learn. And this sentence is addressed to another human being. You are one self with me, united with our Creator in this self. The self is with a capital S, referring to the all in all, or sources, Bima likes to call it. I love and honor you because of what I am and what He is, who loves us both as one. So that's one lesson. You're supposed to do one a day. I've been at this one for 2 weeks. Over.
That's impressive that you do that, Shabana.
I'm just stuck, Nanette. Like, I'd like to move on and keep up with Linda, but this lesson, the more I repeat, I mean, there's 3 or 4 sentences in these 2 lessons, 95 and 96. But what they're doing is cutting the root of the problem of anthropomorphizing. What, Linda?
You had it.
Whatever.
Anthropomorphizing.
Anthropomorphizing God. Like, I've had that problem all my life because that was my excuse for punishing people who didn't do what I wanted them to do. So I figure it's probably time to stop, you think, you know? But it's taken me some time, and however long it, I mean, whatever it takes and however long it takes, I'll stay at this lesson till I stop thinking that God is some punishing, mean old dude up there. Over.
I'm glad you brought up A Course in Miracles, Shabana, because as I was reading, I was thinking, oh, there's that lesson we just did, and there was that lesson we just did, and there's that lesson we just did, and they all apply. So I'm glad you brought it up, because I was actually flipped over and looking at the lessons, trying to find the ones that were the most applicable. So it's interesting. It all converges. And if we would listen to the wisdom of the sages, it's been there for us. Neil's bringing it to us in a different format. All we have to do is accept it, take it into our hearts and start living this way, and everything will change. That's the bottom line. Over.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing is a hologram. I mean, there's 1,100 pages of the same thing. I mean, I keep writing them down in every other book and things like that, but, you know, seeing as I'm diabetic, I have this logbook that I carry around, and the first sentence in the cover of it is the sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for herself, right? So that's what the 1,100 pages are about. Wish I could accept the atonement for myself. I'm working on it. Thank you. Over.
I'm thinking it's kind of funny that we're talking about anthropomorphizing and how God doesn't like that, because one of the things that most ever helped me grasp this concept of oneness and unity was from some spiritual poem I read somewhere that said, we are all cells in the body of Christ. And, you know, that just really kind of got it for me. Or that concept that, like, you know, if your toe is hurting you, don't say, well, that's not part of me, I'll just cut it off, you know, if you're the finger. So when I conceive of all of creation as one body, but it certainly doesn't have to be a human body, but for our human minds, I think that's a useful concept for understanding. But that phrase, we are all cells in the body of Christ, just opened up a whole world for me. Over.
That's beautiful, Mary. That summarizes everything. Thank you.
Okay, can I say something? Yeah, thank you for all those lovely sharings. So I'm getting to understand that God is energy and life, which we participate in this body. And I read somewhere recently that the body is just a shape, and the mind is a form, or the body is a form and the mind, whichever way around, whatever. A shape. We are a shape and a form, and you put it in this body and you lay that down. But you are part of the eternity, because life moves through this shape and form while we have the privilege to use this shape and form. And I think we get sort of caught into, you know, I was just thinking today, I'm getting caught into fear because it's an ego thing. It's not real. It doesn't belong with the it doesn't belong with the energy of God, of life, which is limitless and perhaps has, like you said, no needs. But while we are stuck in this egos and fears, we are cut off from the limitless life that is God, that lives through us while we have the privilege to use this body we're in. And to remind myself that fears just belong in the ego, and worries and all that. And actually we're just putting them out there and receiving it all back, because it's not the way. Sorry, that's about it. Over.
So are you saying, Anne, that we have to make a conscious decision to stop vibrating a certain way because we don't want to pay the consequences of what will come back? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, and another way around, start vibrating the way of the words that we have been given, that have been channeled through Neil, for us to live by. Start opening our hearts rather than our heads. Today I heard something, on the radio, and it said that, I think it was Malcolm X said that poetry would save the world. And I thought, that's the bridge between the heart and the head. The poetry is the bridge. It bypasses that kind of mental processing. So somehow we have to open the heart that is disconnected, and the bridge work is the poetry. And that made me feel excited. And it comes through intuition, and you feel it. You feel it. To respect the feelings and all that has been excluded from us in a way, almost. Yeah. Thank you.
That's so funny. Yesterday, I was reading something and it said, beauty can save the world.
Mm.
Oh.
Mm.
That's Alexander Solzhenitsyn. And there's two Anns talking. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Ann L. How's that?
Ann L. Okay, good. But I think it is Alexander Solzhenitsyn, isn't it?
I don't know. I just found that funny that that was yesterday.
Mm.
See, but I can't ever see anything that isn't beautiful. I mean, every person I see is absolutely gorgeous.
And that's tomorrow's God. In connection with the book. That statement to me would be tomorrow's God.
Can you explain a little further, Anne?
Okay. Well, I don't know if I can. It's changing our viewpoint from how we see things. So one viewpoint of right or wrong, good or bad, this or that, is more like today's God. It is this way, or it isn't this way, or God is this, or God is that. Where tomorrow's God is more non-judgmental, more it is what it is. It's the capacity to see the limitlessness. It's the capacity to not separate things, but to see the oneness in things, to identify that there really is no difference in religions, that the basis of all religions is love, and it doesn't matter what you call your God. there's only one God and we're all worshiping them. I don't know what to say for the religions that, like Indian or something like that, but I'm just saying for the majority of the religions that there's only one God and we've all got the same God. It's not like we all have different gods. I don't know if that helped. Over. But perception, how perception, how you perceive something, how you hold something, how you perceive it.
Yes, yes. That's what you said just now, and Elle, is exactly what the meditation should be. So, Nanette, should I just do it so we can end on time? Okay. Thank you, Tomorrow's God, for bringing us together to this very powerfully uniting and healing service where Mary and the two Anns have brought in the wisdom, the beauty, the limitlessness of your needlessness. You are the God of beauty, and we're asking you now to unite this group in superseding yesterday's God. We want the whole beautiful, limitless, loving, generous, and free world that tomorrow's God is eager to provide. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely week, Nanette. I appreciate your continuing to do this despite all your challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I love you, Bima.
I love you too.
Much love, everyone.
Yep.
Have a good week.
Thank you, Shabana. That was a nice compliment. And we'll see each other next week. And I love you all. And I couldn't get myself off of mute fast enough. But anyway, we'll see each other next week.
Thank you. And I love you, Angela and Mary and Ashana and Derby. And I sort of love you, Linda. Linda's God. I like to tease her. Sorry.
Oh, that's
but
too funny.
I do love you, Nanette.
I know you do. And Lindapedia is always good for something. So.
Well, too bad she left. And I love you, Bima.
Yeah.
And Ashana.
Sorry, I didn't say anything. I tried many times, but I just, somebody started, so I couldn't come in. I had something to share, but I will do it next time.
Good, good. Don't forget it.
Write it down. Okay. See you next week.
Yes. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.